Win big in 2023 with Team Sync from RotoBaller. Import your fantasy teams and sync your leagues. Get customized tools and tailored advice for your specific rosters and scoring settings, including live recommendations from the Live Draft Assistant, Free Agent Finder, and Lineup Optimizer. Sync an unlimited amount of NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL fantasy teams from all of the major fantasy platforms. Get a discount for any premium pass using my promo code Knuckler, K-N-U-C-K-L-E-R, as in one who throws knuckleballs. Rest in peace to Tam Wakefield. Just visit rotoballer.com/radio and start rotoballing like a boss. Makes a great gift for the rotoballer in your life. And this podcast is also brought to you by Parlay Play Fantasy Sports. Use my referral link and my referral code RotoBrady. Get a sweet, sweet deposit bonus for using those. Get into those parlay player prop contests. They got free contests. They got paid contests for the NBA, for the NFL, for everything. Go on Parlay Play Fantasy Sports. That's a really fun platform. And what's up, everybody? This is Brady Grove bringing you another interlude episode of RotoBaller's official MMA podcast. Tap that. We're in a UFC off week. You can follow me on Twitter at RotoBrady. Follow the podcast at Tap That MMA Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. And with me, as usual in these big spots, is frequent guest co-host of the show, Connor Bones Slone. Connor, how's it going tonight?
Hey, Brady. Thanks for having me on again, man. I'm doing pretty well.
And with us tonight, a very special guest. He is a 12-5-1 professional featherweight fighter, 28 years of age. Tapology currently has him ranked as the number 91 featherweight in the world. I think that number's wrong. This guy should be ranked higher in the world than 91st. Kai Kamaka III, the fighting Hawaiian. Kai, thanks so much for being here, man. How you doing?
Good, doing good. Thanks for that intro. I agree with you as well. But that's just the way MMA works. With the when you're going up against the beast UFC, they take a lot of the rankings up.
And so that's kind of like, I kind of want to work a little bit backwards because you're coming off of an October 7th victory on a big Bellator event, Bellator 300 against Henry Corrales. It was a split decision victory. It was a close fight for sure and a highly contested one. There was a lot of action to it. And, there's been a lot of talk afterward about the result of the fight because it was a close matchup. How do you think that fight played out, and how do you evaluate your performance in the aftermath of that?
I feel like I underperformed, but when I watched the fight over, it makes it more clear that I won. And based off what they were saying on how they're trying to critique the judging in that one video that they released, that just assures me that I won the fight, based off how they're trying to manipulate or why he scored it this way, that way. So it just gave me reassurance but I feel like I won the fight, but I definitely feel like I underperformed, just after the fact of being in there, feeling, and just not fighting up to par. But that's obviously credit to Henry Corrales. Maybe that was him in there, being able to slow me down, or like kind of being the vet that to where like I don't pull the trigger in certain situations. Maybe that's due to him, but I felt like I underperformed in there. But yeah, the fight was close. I felt like I made it a little bit closer than it had to be. But that's just my feeling.
And it's got to be weird, like being in a fight that then that video is released in the aftermath of, because that's kind of an unusual thing for major mixed martial arts, for like there to be a video in that situation that comes out after the event.
That is, and it's good that they're working at it, but it looked like a Saturday Night Live skit, or like some part, like portion of that was like in the office, because like the way they're trying to talk about it, it's almost like they're being manipulated on what to say, based off of who, the hierarchy in the room, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Like in one part of the video, they say the guy, I'm pretty sure it's a ref and the commissioner is like, he was badly hurt in those last 20 seconds of the fight, and I'm like, I didn't even get hit. He maybe hit me once in the back of the head in the last 3 seconds of the fight, but I didn't get hit. it was like I knew the situation and I knew how he was gonna approach. Sure, it doesn't look good, but that 20 seconds cannot override 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Regardless, even if it looks crazy, if you watch, you see very inaccurate. Very inaccurate. So if you're telling me that 20 seconds can sway the whole round, I gotta figure out a different. I gotta fight even more different, just making it look crazy because looks and accuracy is totally different. Um, and so in the video they said round one very close toss up. Round two clearly one winner. Round three they mentioned 440 of the round Kamaka's winning and 20 seconds somehow or 20 seconds could have won him a round, and that I barely even got hit. I don't even he hit me to the back of my head once, but that was in the last 3 seconds, and I'm pretty sure I was had the cleaner shots, the more effective shots in the fight. I was bouncing his head back. I knocked his mouthpiece out. And in the first round, I felt like he caught me with 2 calf kicks right in the beginning. But I felt like I started racking the points up and getting into a groove after that. So it was close fight, but it wasn't cause Henry Corrales was doing anything to make it closer. Is what That's what I feel. It was. That's yeah. Sure, it was close fight, but there was 2 instances where he had winning moments, and one was 20 seconds, and one was the first 2 calf kicks.
Connor, do you know what video we're talking about?
I don't. I was actually curious about that. What video you referencing?
Dude, it's a
So
hilarious.
yeah, you can go ahead first.
It's a hilarious video where like the judges are talking about the scoring of Kai Kamaka versus Henry Corrales after Bellator 300. And it doesn't make any better that the dude at the front of the room had like the most hilarious Southern accent of all time. And he was like, well, I thought that Corrales had, really in the last 20 seconds really seemed to have done some good damage. And it was like, dude, and I agree with you, Kai, that I think that we've seen plenty of fights where a round is stolen in the last 20 seconds. It depends on the activity level of the rest of the round and the rest of the fight and what's happening.
Yeah,
That was not one of those rounds.
that was not one of those rounds exactly, and yeah, this was like he heard short time, so and the only reason, there's many reasons why you would do that. There could be several reasons why you would do that, but in this case, he did that out of desperation. And then if you watch the footage, because he knows he's down, as there's one guy that feels like they have to pick it up, and one guy, I could have did the same thing as Henry Corrales, but I knew like you see the tale of two ends. One guy felt like he was in control of the fight. One guy had lost control of the fight. So he felt like in 20 seconds he needed to try to make something happen, and I made him miss like out of those 20 punches, I probably made him miss 19.
And so now, and Connor, I want you to jump in here in a second too, because Kai, you're now on a 3-fight winning streak in Bellator. Over Kevin Boehm, Adley Edwards, and Henry Corrales. 2 of those wins in 2023. The most recent coming at a bigger Bellator event, Bellator 300. And it's been very well publicized, like what's going on with Bellator right now. And so that has to leave you thinking about what's next for you as far as the promotion that you're fighting in. And Connor, do you have any details you want to add to that? Because you stay very well up on MMA news.
Yeah, honestly, I think you asked a good question. Definitely curious. Really, what I was kind of thinking about when we were talking about judging, I do think that there is a pretty significant bias towards whoever wins the end of the round most of the time. And I think the judging can be very, very inconsistent. Kai, was curious if, in your experience, has it been pretty inconsistent with, kind of how they score the fights? And I guess another question on top of that would be, do you think there in any organization there might be some sketchiness going on with, Vegas lines, things like that, or you just think it's pure incompetence sometimes?
Could be all of it, but that video is just based off of that video from CSAC, that was pure incompetency. Because
Absolutely,
there's a
yeah.
lot like it's a close fight. I mean, but yeah, I know what is I know how to watch a fight. I know what it is to fight. So I can see, like, I felt in there what I felt Henry Corrales in there. I felt his emotion, demeanor change in the fight, as many others, because he was losing the fight. He felt like the fight, like, so I know. Of course, it was a close fight, and I had to like fucking um squeeze my butt cheeks a little bit at the end of that, because I'd been on the wrong end of some split decisions, some decisions in general that should have been unanimous. Somehow, um, they go the other guy's way. So of course I was still like, you just never know when it goes to the judges, right? So, the it's stupid. Like, we know how to fight. We know we're fighting to a criteria as well, but the judging is inconsistent. We think that we know when they re-inform us before fights on like like what are they looking for or whatever, but the judges themselves are not informing us. It's like referees or what he like hearsay throughout the week of like but then we gotta kind of like, okay, this is the judges that we've got, how they judge in the past. That's basically what we're going off of. We don't get briefed by judges before the fight. But yeah, so we try to fight to a criteria that's given to us in like different ways, through the media, through different people talking about it, and then we have to train to that, right? I mean, you still train to finish, but you train to that. If you fight to that, but then judging can still go all kind of different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I know some other promotions have kind of tested out, wanted to hear a fighter's opinion on this, open scoring. So do you think it would be better if they like, told you the score in between rounds, or like told your coaches after each round, who won? Was it 10-9, 10-8? Do you think that would be a good thing, or maybe not?
I mean, good or bad, but I mean, if they're gonna do it, do it. You go then, because then the fighting style changes.
Hmm.
Um, um, it shouldn't, but it will change. So, um, but yeah, it's just, if you're gonna do it, do it so we know we know how it is. That's the main thing. It can yeah, I feel like if anything, there's a lot of different things that can happen for more transparency.
Hmm.
There's a lot, um, and that's one of them. That's one of the ways. I feel like we should get briefed by the judges before the fight, by your three judges. We get briefed by the referee. Why don't we get briefed by the three judges?
Yeah, that's a
Um,
really good point. I honestly didn't even know. I thought that the judges did kind of do that, so that's kind of
no,
crazy. It doesn't happen.
um, that way. Another one would be they or and another one. I have three suggestions. That one, briefed by the judges before the fight.
Hmm.
The judges brief the media after the fight, which they've said that they don't want to do that, right?
Hmm.
And then another one would be like two conferences, two conferences via whatever it is, in person or Zoom, big conferences, yearly, um, beginning of the year, middle of the year, um, and it's like there's transparency on the judging criteria, judging rules. You have referees and judges there, certified judges or whatever, licensed judges. So there's at least a briefing on what they're looking for.
Hmm.
um yeah, I feel like
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of
those are
sense.
some ways
And
that
that's
at
actually
least clear some things up
Hmm.
before we can think about open scoring.
That makes sense. Yeah, thank you. That's didn't even really think about that, but yeah, I think that's a great answer.
and that's the crazy thing too about every sport is that every sport is so resistant to their referees or their judges having any sort of accountability or transparency after an event. And they still can't even really give a good reason as to why they shouldn't have to answer for some of the decisions they make in the aftermath of these sporting events.
At least speak before the fight so that we know what it is. We have an idea of what it is going in. Maybe not after, because whatever, people can be heated and emotion can be involved, but at least before.
And to speak to some of these closer decisions too, and kind of on your time in the UFC before you return to Bellator. Your first loss in the UFC was to Jonathan Pierce, a guy who is currently ranked 18th in the world according to Tapology. Then a very close split decision loss against TJ Brown. And your next loss was a split decision too, back in Bellator against Justin Gonzalez. So, how do you kind of, when you look back at the level of competition that you fought and that you took losses to in the UFC, and especially with the TJ Brown fight being so close, how do you evaluate your time in the UFC and whether you would ever be willing to return, considering what all the stuff is going on with Bellator?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, we go back to the Jonathan Pierce fight, which I just, and in all honesty, I wish I could have given him a better performance, but I took that fight on 6 days' notice, and I was winning the fight up until I got tired. I just moved to Vegas like 7 days prior, which is noted a lot of places, and then I took the fight, and then yeah, I lost. I honestly lost. I would take that fight over and over. It was a competitive fight until that point. The TJ Brown fight, however, was a very competitive fight, but I feel like it was a 30-27 unanimous decision win, which one of the judges had. And then I lost the other two judges on a split. And then the Justin Gonzalez fight, another fight which I thought I won. So I mean, if you go back, I'm on a 3-fight win streak, but before that 3-fight win streak, I fought Justin Gonzalez that could have easily been me, and nobody would even blink an eye. Then I won the John De Jesus. That's 5 fights. Then if you remember the Danny Chavez fight, that's 6 fights. The TJ Brown fight, that's 7 fights. After the Jonathan Pierce fight, so that's 7 fights that could have changed the trajectory. Heck, you talk about the TJ Brown, Danny Chavez fight; those two alone, I wouldn't even be here right now on this 3-fight win streak, because I would still be in the UFC. But I wouldn't. I don't think. I look back at. I was talking about that with several people even today. Yeah, I'm on a 3-fight win streak, but I start counting them back. Oh, that fight should have been mine, or that fight should that I won that fight too. I won that fight too. Then I won a 7, pretty much almost 7-fight or 6-fight win streak or whatever. 7. Then you're like, that's just not. But that doesn't make me who I am today. Like those decisions made me better, regardless if I thought I won or not. They made me a better person, made me a better fighter, athlete in general, to where now I'm on this 3-fight win streak, and I'm way better. I would crush the guy that fought those guys, the guy that fought Justin Gonzalez. I would crush the guy that fought TJ Brown, Jonathan Pierce. Yeah, it's not even comparable.
And that's the crazy thing too, is like, let's say that you get victories over a Jonathan Pierce and a TJ Brown in a row. It is not inconceivable that you would be in the co-main event, the main event of a UFC Vegas event, of a fight night. It changes the trajectory a lot just on a few different things. And
yeah, I've been in the main card of a UFC card, and I've never been on a main card for Bellator. So it's just the trajectory. Yeah, I fought Jonathan Pierce on the main card because it wasn't because of Jonathan Pierce. It was because of me. Jonathan Pierce just lost before that. We were on. Those decisions have made me better, and everybody knows. I've just became way better athlete in general since then.
And it's why I laugh when I see the ranking of number 91 next to your name on Tapology among world featherweights, because it's like, dude, the real thing is that if you were back in the UFC, or if you're in Bellator right now, I think that you could give a good fight to everybody up to the top 15 in the world right now, and that's just the base, because
that's just at a baseline of okay, yeah, just crossing names off before it becomes my equal.
you've always combined, your volume kickboxing and the power shots well. And it's something that I love to watch about your fighting. But does it wear on you after after the last few years? For every time the fight goes to the judges' scorecards, you got to wonder if it is gonna, go your way or not.
It does, but I mean, I've kind of gotten out of that. I mean, I did get out of that rut for a little bit with the past two fights, and then this one. But that's what it comes with when you're fighting better guys too. Like I feel like I'm getting the right opponent at the right time every time. It's just sometimes, I mean, for some fucked up reasons or not, they end up not going my way. Like just the unit, like do- does Justin Gonzalez feel like he's? I mean, did he look way better than me? No, but that just changes the whole trajectory of where things line up after that. Like I've been in right there with all these, and I know the caliber of guys that I train with and how well I do against the guys that I train with. Um, so I mean, yeah, I don't look at that too. I mean, I know I'm ranked number 9 in Bellator now, and that'll hold weight when it comes to the future of what lies ahead.
And Connor, do you want to jump in with anything right now?
I can't really think of anything to jump in with. I mean, I think you have a great outlook on, losses like that because you can absolutely learn way more from a loss than from a win. And clearly, you've learned from your previous fights on a great win streak right now. I actually did have one quick question about your time back in the UFC. So, how do you feel about Tony Kelly? Just curious. I'm really happy you beat him because I don't like him much. But do you ever talk to him at all, like leading up to the fight or at all after it all?
Honestly, I could understand why people wouldn't like Tony Kelly,
Mhm.
based off what I've, what people. Well, I know why some people don't like Tony Kelly based off of what he's what he's shown in fights or what or not in the corner and
Mhm.
whatnot. Um, but as far as like him towards me, he's been a great like competitor as far as like talking like just yeah we've talked after the fight, and we didn't talk prior to our fight, but he was respectful to me as a competitor, and then like even forward like he always like he'll write to me every now and then when he sees me still doing well, and yeah, so I mean my thoughts on I mean Tony as far as a competitor and a guy that I've competed with and who has showed some respect to me like um as somebody who he showed that for sure, um
Okay,
compared to
maybe I judged him a
maybe
bit too harshly.
yeah, I mean because it's funny because when I see why people wouldn't like him,
Mhm.
I didn't catch any of that when we were scoring up against each other,
Okay.
like any of that. Like there was no like even in the ring too, like when it got like to the grimy to the scrappy part of the fight. My
Mhm.
cousin is talking. My cousin Ray is like talking. Kind of playing the presence of the fight of like saying no, he's hurt, he's tired, and it's in the apex, and he started talking back, whatnot. I'm saying he wasn't tired or and whatnot. So the gamesmanship in there, but other than that, I never did see anything to where it personally to me it was like I never did get any attacked or in any other weird way besides the gamesmanship of a fight.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, thank you for the insight. I think I may have judged him a bit too harshly, so I'll give him a second chance.
Yeah, I just man, other than his corner work, I've never did see anything bad about Tony Kelly. And in the Giannis fight, but then that I don't really put too much into that because we're fighting, so it's like
Mhm.
you need every edge you can get. I don't know what I didn't dig deep into the Giannis fight. I just know that they were getting into it
Mhm.
verbally, but I mean they're gonna fight sooner or later.
Yeah, it's all part of the game, kind of
Yeah.
build up the hype for a fight. Can't really blame
Mhm.
you guys for doing that.
And so Kai, you've had a great run in Bellator so far, and you had a solid run there beforehand, and you had the win in LFA in between your first run in Bellator and in the UFC, and now being ranked number 9 in the Bellator featherweight division. And yet we know that Bellator, it's been, not a well-kept secret that Bellator is about to be purchased by the PFL. It seems like, obviously there's a lot fewer concrete details, and I have no idea what you're, able to say about that or allowed to say. Who knows, because of the stage that it's in. But, my main question is, like, I know that you've thrown a lot of names out there of guys that you want to fight following the Henry Corrales fight. And so how do you try to plan for this with everything kind of being chaotic as far as even what promotion you're with?
Yeah, it's a great question. I we've been kind of assured, or yeah, to just like nothing's really gonna change on our end. Um, like Bellator's still gonna be running. We're gonna have new ownership, but that's just as far. Yeah, and then we've heard like little information here and there on, but we've been told that yeah, we're gonna be still, like Bellator's still gonna be running. Like as far as our end, business as usual. There are gonna be a few changes, but other than that, like they're still gonna be operating.
And I know that before the Henry Corrales fight, or after the Henry Corrales fight, you had said that you wanted to fight James Gallagher. And yet you threw a lot of other names out there as well. So who's kind of right now on your radar of, matchups you want now that you're, a ranked Bellator fighter? And why do you think that those are good, fun matchups, where you're going to be in a good position to look your best?
Yeah, I feel like obviously, I mean, the James Gallagher fight, he carries he carries a big following, so I feel like that's a good name to grab. Um, and then Lucas Brennan is right in front of me at number 8. That's another, or I mean, stylistically, I feel like I match up well with both of those guys. I'm a complete MMA fighter. Yeah, I'm a complete MMA fighter, and I feel like I can win the fight in multiple ways for both of those fights. So, but I would prefer. I feel like James Gallagher is the better fighter, so I'd prefer to fight him, and then out of those two, and then if not, Lucas Brennan, he's right in front of me, so we just take the next step up first.
Lucas Brennan's a big boy too at 145 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Connor,
Yeah, he is.
I was just gonna say those are two both great matchups. I think I'd rather see you against Gallagher, but either of those fights would be awesome. And I do think, like you said, you matched up well with him for sure.
And so Kai, there's a lot of great organizations out there too. I got the Ryzen t-shirt on right now. There's obviously there's PFL, there's Bellator, there's the UFC, and you're still. It's crazy to think about it because I feel like I've been watching you for years and years, and I guess looking back at your track record, I have. But yet you are a 28-year-old fighter. You're still a young dude in this, and you've been around in the top organizations for years. So, what how do you kind of evaluate your path moving forward? And obviously, Bellator has been working out really well for you. But is there ever any thoughts of going overseas or anything like that, or are you like super comfortable where you're at, especially when you're on a winning streak like this?
I mean, shoot, this game is rough, so it's like the as far as business and just the highs and I mean not highs and lows, but like just the as an MMA fighter, like nothing is ever guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like even like I mean, say a sale or whatever, guys, the contract of an MMA fighter can always be terminated at the promotion's discretion. That's just the reality of it. No matter who you are, obviously you can be Francis Ngannou and get released because of money. But you're the champion. You hold the belt. You hold weight. So I mean, the game is like nothing is guaranteed in this sport because you can upset the wrong person or whatever and just multiple. So I mean, as far as like, I mean, I'm happy with Bellator right now. They've it's been good. They've kept me busy, a lot busier than a lot of other guys. But I mean, though you never know with this game, man. You never know where your next gig is. Because for whatever reason, you could be Demetrius Johnson or Ben Askren for your respective promotions, and then you just boom, you're in the opposite end. So I mean, where I mean, as long as I get to fight um for a living and keep chasing the top, that's the main thing.
And
That's the main thing.
you're with one of the best. You couldn't ask for a better group of training partners for yourself. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, speak a little bit, if you could, about just the value of being around such a great camp of professionals and the growth that has fostered in your career for the last few years.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, I was training at home in Hawaii with my with my family. You know, noted my cousin Ray Cooper. We're first cousins. We've done like everything up to my career until I moved to Vegas, and I love training at home. I love the small group of me, just us, the boys, all my family, the brother, cousins, um, and but then just to reach a new height, um, athletically, and physically, technically, it will just to put a different set of eyes in on and be in a different environment. I feel like help me elevate. You know, because me and my cousin Ray, we still talk every day. Um, but just to elevate, and I get to sustain a living with my family in Vegas. So yeah, having new training partners, new reactions being set out, like being put out in front of me, with the guys that are ranked right around me in the UFC, Bellator, right ranked, in the same ring, same octagon, same mats as me, is also it's reassuring. So and you get to inch to keep getting better. Like my main training partner is the number one contender in Bellator, and those are pay-per-view rounds every single time. Um, and we're going at it every every single day. I mean, me and Jeremy Kennedy are like best friends. We do it. I mean, so if he's this number and I'm 91, it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? Because I'm training with the number one guy in Bellator, who I've seen, like, and he does. His grappling is second to none in MMA. So, and then you get guys like Dan Ige, Mads Burnell, Julian Erosa. These are guys that's the training room that we're in.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a lot of talent in that. Um, I noticed you mentioned Ray Cooper. Does he still train out of his garage? I know he did for a long time, but do
Yeah,
you know if he's still
yep,
doing
that's where we train when we're back home in the garage.
it?
It's
Yeah,
like
that's
there's a
awesome.
cage. Yeah,
That's awesome.
we cage it off.
Connor and I are big fans of Ray Cooper, man, because he at one point was probably the most underrated welterweight in the world. And folks, if you don't know, Ray Cooper, he's going to be making his middleweight debut against Derek Brunson November 24th at PFL 10. That is currently still out there. And not only that, you look at Ray Cooper and his four younger brothers, all won state wrestling titles. Him and his two younger brothers won NAIA national champions of wrestling All-Americans at Warner Pacific University. That is quite a fighting pedigree to come from one extended family, Kai.
Yeah, so I mean, Ray's mom and my dad, or brother, sister, we lived together during high school. Um, I mean, we're super, like, he's closer than my best friend. Like he's closer than, like, yeah, that's like my brother, That's the kind of relationship that we have. Um, so yeah, we're super close. He has a big influence on my career. We obviously we have a lot of similarities, but there's differences. There's still differences in styles, but we still have we um he has a lot of influence on the way I fight. But we're yeah. So but I make it my own as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just out of curiosity, what's your prediction for him versus Derek Brunson? I think that's an awesome matchup. I think I'd have to take Cooper in it, but what are your thoughts?
Um, I just feel like I just feel like Derek Brunson, even at Derek Brunson's best,
Mhm.
he cannot beat Ray. If my cousin is on and and yeah, if my cousin is just in shape, he's not gonna beat him. And I
agree.
believe he will be. I see him preparing, and I talk to him pretty frequently. So I just don't see, like, is he gonna hold Ray down, or is he gonna strike with him? Either way, so
Either way
if
is
he
a
plays
recipe
it.
for disaster for Brunson.
Yeah, because if you start trying to take him down and you can't take him down, and you fatigue on to strike, it's gonna be a brutal knockout.
And
And he gets a little bit clumsy when fatigue sets in.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's very noticeable too when he's gassed. He's one of
Yeah,
those
he doesn't,
when his tank is empty, you just know it.
and he doesn't have like good balance and like center of mass. So
Yeah.
like when things get crazy, he's gonna be falling all over the place,
Yeah, I think that's going to be
especially in exchanges.
yeah, I think that's definitely going to be viewed as a great win for Cooper if he can get it done. You know, we're trashing on Brunson a bit, but he's still very elite. So I'm definitely
Oh yeah,
excited for this one.
he's definitely elite. I know the capabilities of my cousin, and
Mhm.
to me, like if he wanted to be, if he wanted to be, and like if he was put in the right spot, in the right pool of like of lineup, like I feel like he could be number one in the world.
Yeah, I
Um, just there's a lot of things that got to be involved with that. Obviously, he would have to be in a different promotion. Um, and then obviously I just know that would that would light a different spark under him,
yeah.
just to because I know what he's been going through, and um yeah, so
and yeah, have always loved the very unique fighting culture, but sports culture overall of Hawaii. It from their fighters to the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors football team. Yeah, it's a very different feel and a very different flavor than the rest of the continental United States. So the fighters that we have gotten at the top level of the sport from Hawaii, I mean, obviously, back to some of the OGs of it, like BJ Penn. There's a lot of and yet like they all bring the same spirit, but with a very unique flavor to it. And every Hawaiian fighter that I've ever seen has been fun to watch.
yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be one of them. Glad to be the young one, the pretty much the youngest one out of it, like us, to be active, like pushing, climbing, all those things.
And so, Kai, you're on a fantastic winning streak. It could be a much longer winning streak, as you have stated. 12-5-1 as a professional. You're 28 years old. How do you, even with things going so well in Bellator, what are you looking to improve upon right now? And how are you hoping to be a different Kai Kamaka, by the next couple of times that you step in the ring, as opposed to the Kai Kamaka we've seen since December of 2022?
Um, I mean, I just feel like in on the trajectory and like the way that I've been improving. I'd still stay on that path of making the improvements on, like, through, like, on the downtime of, like, right now, of in between camps, and then elevating while I'm in camp, while I'm staying sharp in camp. But it might be a slower process or whatever of making these gains, but I feel like in every fight I'm making these gains. It's just you only get 15 minutes to show it. So, and whatever the fight presents. But I feel like, I feel like, as the student that I am of the game, that I'm always making the right adjustments in my training schedule, in my training regimen, to make big leaps and bounds. Like, my main training partner is somebody of a different, like, who has a different fighting style than me. That's that's who's at the top of the, like, of who is at the top too. It's Jeremy is my main training partner. He has a different style than me, but that's the reason why he's my main training partner. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I
so
think
I'm constantly making those adjustments. We're constantly making adjustments together.
Yeah, I think you make a really great point, and I think sometimes that can be the downfall of some fighters is just kind of getting complacent, just staying with what they're comfortable with, never kind of pushing themselves out of their comfort zone. And I think exactly like you're saying, that's a great strategy to get better and continuously improve. So, with you being so young in the fight game, I definitely think you're on a good path, like you said.
Thank you.
And even watching the Danny Chavez fight, I remember Chavez going for a takedown and you defending it and then countering to kind of get out of the clinch with a single leg of your own and then spinning off of the cage. And it didn't result in a takedown, but you didn't get taken down, and it was a thing of beauty to watch.
Yeah, I wrestled all my life. And I wrestled at the NAIA level. I wrestled in college. So um, but I've also boxed growing up. I also kickboxed growing up. So I feel like my life has been well balanced in MMA to where like people don't even know that I wrestled at the collegiate level, and then but then you see fights like back in my early Bellator career when I fought Tony Kelly. I was consistently taking them down, blending them. And then now I'm able to blend it all in to where, but also my fast twitch, my athleticism, like I don't even remember last time I spent time on my back.
That's true. I don't remember the last time you spent time on your back either. Was that it? Where was that you wrestled in AIA? Was that Midland
I
University?
wrestled at Midland University in Nebraska.
Okay, interesting. What brought you to Nebraska?
Wrestling, and then just the Midwest for wrestling, and then I had like a teammate from my school that went there prior, so that kind of pushed me there.
Well, Connor, do you have anything else that we can lead off with?
I had something, but it slipped my mind, so you take it for a second.
Well, Kai, we're in a crazy time in mixed martial arts where like all this stuff with Bellator and PFL, but this is also a great time to be a fighter of your caliber because there's nothing but opportunities out there. If Bellator decided, tomorrow that they were done with Kai Kamaka, there's a bunch of different places that you could go and fight at a high level. And with the UFC, when you look back at your time in the UFC, I look at it and say, like, why was this guy, why did he not get more opportunity? And it's something that, too, this most recent season of The Ultimate Fighter highlighted, too, with guys like Brad Katona and a bunch of those guys, where it's like, why the hell did this guy not get another shot in the UFC? So, how do you just, overall, how do you feel about how the last few years have gone and where you're going?
Like I said earlier, it made me a better person, and but if you're asking me like what would happen if somehow, some way, Bellator blank out and the UFC opportunity, um, came, I would gladly take it, and I know I'll be much more prepared for the opportunity when it comes. If somehow, oh, Bellator, you're done, or we're done with the Kai Kamaka business, I know that I'm very confident that I would be able to get back to the UFC or go right to the UFC and have start success again. So that's just the way I feel. I'm a much more matured fighter than I was, um, and I'm just as hungry, but I'm just a lot smarter too now.
Yeah, I think you make a really great point with how you train, blending in striking and grappling. I feel like there are a lot of fighters that they're really good at both striking and grappling, but they can't put it together very well. Did you find it kind of hard to make any adjustments there, or did it just kind of come naturally with you with your skill set?
I think it just came natural with my skill set that I grew up boxing, kickboxing, and then I always was wrestling and grappling. So I was never scared in a situation. I'm like I don't I'm not I don't ever feel like in any department that I'm a liability to myself. Um, I would because I know I could only imagine being some of these guys that are just ready to they're getting ready to walk out and then be like, man, I hope I don't get taken down, man, or man, I hope I better take this guy down. Like I know that my life has prepared me for any situation for MMA.
Well, folks, this has been another interlude episode of RotoBaller's official MMA podcast, Tap That. I am Brady Grove. You can follow me on Twitter at RotoBrady. Follow the podcast on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube at Tap That MMA Podcast. With me tonight has been frequent guest host Connor Bones Slone and Kai Kamaka III, the fighting Hawaiian. Kai, thank you so much for being here. We set this up pretty quickly as far as what I'm used to, and I'm super glad that you were able to be here tonight. If you have anything else that you want to say or anybody that you want to shout out, the floor is yours.
No, I just thank you guys for having me. Yeah, I mean, after fights, before fights, I mean, you always get a lot of interviews. So I mean, and there's a bunch of guys that they for some reason they end up falling off, and I tell them yeah. So like I almost forget, like, oh, this one came together quick. Like, man, I don't even remember, because I just tell, like, some of these guys, like, oh, something happened, cancel it, and they're like, whatever. I mean, I'm cool. But then this one, yeah, I didn't even realize this one came together that quick. But yeah, I mean, thank you for having me on. Thank you guys for, giving me the platform to speak, and being aware of like my career, and the way that it's went, being knowledgeable of it. Yeah, it's been a good ride, and I appreciate like everybody that support me.
Not only that, folks, he's got some of the best hair in all of mixed martial arts.
Mhm.
Folks, thank you very much for listening. There's going to be other interlude episodes coming out. We're on a UFC off week. Have yourselves a great weekend, and peace.
Thank you.